Welcome, everyone. Welcome. So excited to see people, see your voices, yes, your voices, hear your voices. And thank you. We are live. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Just give us 1 minute as our meeting is about to stream live on Facebook. Uh, so excited that I was almost becoming nervous. So really thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. So welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining today's session. Today is March 3rd, 2025, or as they say in other parts of the world, 22nd March 2025. And we continue to celebrate Women's History Month. We celebrate women all over the globe. Today, we recognize leadership, courage, and fortitude among many attributes of women. My name is Marian Amwa, and I'm the author of Breaking Through the Immigrant's Handbook for Thriving in the American Workplace. Whenever I say American workplace, I give myself a pause because I believe that my story and the principles that I share in this book can be applied in any workplace, various environments, any continent. Let me say that. So we hope that our conversations, the stories that we bring, the discussions, sometimes the skill building, it's our hope that through these you are inspired, empowered, and challenged to forge your own path or to carry on with your own journey. And everyone, as you know, everyone needs a mentor, everyone needs to grow, everyone needs to shine. These are principles shared in the book. And as we begin our session today, like we do always, please put your questions, your comments. If Helen says anything that was like, hits the right place, it's a Helenism. You just put it in. Or Brenda says something that you really like, it's a Brendaism. You put it there. Our session is leadership, courage, and fortitude. Women leading boldly, empowered to thrive in life. So please join me. I intentionally didn't introduce them. They will introduce themselves and they are going to do a great job at that. Please join me in welcoming our guests for today, Helen Amakwe and Brenda Chemantin. We only have just about 75 minutes, and so they are only going to give you an excerpt of their life stories, their journey. So help me, ladies. You are very welcome. To all of you who have also joined us, you are welcome. So let's begin. And at some point, I'll see those who have come and I will read the chat and welcome you as well. Let's begin. Helen, Brenda, thank you. Thank you. I'd like to ask a few questions that would shed light on your life's experiences, some of the things that you've done, your enterprises, your businesses, your careers, and and even life outside of the workplace. So please introduce yourself, where you are joining from, your profession, and a fun fact or factoid about yourself.
Okay. Should I go first?
Helen, yes.
All right. So Marian, Brenda, everyone online, lovely to engage with you this afternoon. I call it a weekend chat. I think it's a nice way to spend a weekend. So I'm Helen Amakwe, Helen Amele Amakwe. Means I'm the firstborn of my parents, Amakwe family, first girl, two younger brothers. I would class myself as a returnee to Ghana, having spent 20 plus 7, so about 30 years in the UK. And returned to Ghana in 2000, Boxing Day 2007. And I've been here ever since. So I've been here for the last 17 years, but also schooled here, as most of you know. You asked about my profession. I find that an interesting question because I think our professions evolve somewhat. And, one day you're this, the next day you're that. And you get to a stage where keep introducing yourself as a profession or maybe your current role, I think it starts getting a bit tricky. So I think I ask myself, well, who am I versus what do I do? And, you know, I would say that I've done quite a few things. And I think what stands out most for me is that I've been a professional risk manager, having worked in, in
Helen, please unmute yourself. Unmute yourself. I muted everyone. So please unmute yourself. Yes, go
Okay, I
ahead.
wonder what was the last thing you heard. Yeah. Let me just talk about who I am.
Yes, who are
Yeah.
you? Helen, who are
Yeah.
you?
So I would say that, yes, I've been a professional risk manager, and I think that's so much part of who I am that I don't want to ditch it, because I find that everything I do, I take risk into account, whether it's doing my own business, whether it's working for another organization, whether I'm on the board, whether I'm doing consultancy work, I'm constantly thinking risk. So I don't think I can take risk management away from me. But I would say that in addition to being a risk manager, I would say I'm a capitalist. I like money. I like to make money. I like the idea of creating value, but I have a very strong social conscience. So that's what I would describe myself, a capitalist with a strong social conscience, and obviously a professional risk manager, and a continuous learner. If I think of the kind of work I've done, I think I've got to a stage where I want to have a portfolio of work. So at the moment, I sit on a couple of boards. So I'm a non-executive director of a Pan-African insurance company, and they insure against climate-related risks for AU countries. Yeah. And I'm also the chairperson of an insurance company here in Ghana. So I'm a chairperson of Old Mutual, and I've been sitting on their board for probably 7 years now. I've got maybe 2 years max to go, and then my term with them will be over. And I'm also a bit of an entrepreneur. So I've always had a creative side. I love architecture. I didn't have the courage to go back and study architecture. So I've had a chance being in Ghana to, create some buildings. And I'd like to refer to it as a lifestyle. So I'm selling a lifestyle. It's apartments, but I would say it's a lifestyle. One has to always differentiate yourself. So that's my portfolio. But in addition to that, as I said, I love inclusiveness. I love engaging other people. So I'm a member, a director, a founding director of a group called Yerizikan. Yerizikan, fancy means we lead the way. And what we do is we mentor young girls in schools. We've got about 3 schools. And this is a group of girls, a group of friends who got together, and we do this. And we mentor young ladies in the second year of senior high school, and basically hold their hand, guide them, encourage them as they enter the next stage in life, whether it be entering whether it's entering the trade or going into tertiary education or whatever. But, we hold their hand and encourage them. Fun fact about me is, yeah, even though I'm first girl and I'm quite serious, I'm not a carefree person. I really love my music. My dad, when I was younger, every Saturday he played soul music, Motown music. So as a young girl, I under 10 years of age, I really listened to that kind of music. Some of it may have been inappropriate, but it really stuck with me. And so I love music. I can't sing to save my life. I'll often have a party for one, which means that I'll play all the music on my phone and enjoy myself. So that's my fun fact. Thank you.
Wow. Okay. Helen, we could just stay on so many things. You do it all. Women are doing it all. Risk manager, capitalist with a strong social conscience, chairperson, board member, entrepreneur, mentor. You do it all. Thank you for your courage. Thank you for the impact that you are making. Now it's so much information. So let the audience know that for most of our sessions, we don't really prep because I also want to enjoy the stories as much as you are enjoying and also be inspired. Please hold this thought, because when we get back to other questions, I would like you to talk about risk management, risk, and immigrants, So let's do that connection. And if you after Brenda goes, I would like you to talk a little about returnee. So yeah, let Brenda go, and I probably would put my questions together. Brenda, take it away. Thank you, Helen, for sharing. It's rich.
Good
Thank
morning,
you.
Marian. Hello, everyone. Good morning. Thanks for having me here today. Yeah, I almost was nervous a little bit, but I'm here. So, I'm calling in from Maryland in Maryland, Glen Burnie. Yeah. Um, I'm a mother. I see myself to be a homemaker, and professionally, I work with University of Maryland Global Campus and Coppin State as an individual contractor for Coppin State. I work a lot with transfer students, building articulation agreements with other community college schools, and basically that's it. I have a little bit of a YouTube for myself and my kid, my son. He does reading on YouTube as well. And that's basically it. One fun fact about me and Auntie Maria, don't ask me to. I used to be a rapper. In school. I used to rap. My friends called me Maze B because there's an American rapper called Maze B. They said I looked like him, so they call me Maze B. Some of them still call me Maze B, but don't ask me to rap because I can't rap for my life right now. So that's a little bit about me.
Yes, yes. So, you know something, I have to put on my other hat as I sort of mentor Brenda, and Brenda is women, we always undersell ourselves. Brenda is a YouTube creator, she's a content creator. She's an influencer on Instagram. She has a huge following on YouTube. One with Reading with Easy, if you want to go to Reading with Easy, where they read Dr. Seuss, all kinds of books there. And then she has her own the other channel that has over 16,000 followers.
Yeah.
So she's doing it all, a mother of two little kids. So Brenda, thank you. And I didn't know that you were a rapper. Maybe someday you can come rap with us. But Brenda, I know when we talked, you said a little bit. You were born in England, right?
Yes, I was born in Hammersmith, London, and then I was sent back home at a very early age. So,
Back home being America or
no,
Ghana?
Ghana. So I
Okay.
went back home, Ghana. That's where I did most of my schooling and everything. And then I went back to live in London a little bit before I moved here. So I'm like British born, Ghana raised, now American.
Okay. Hold those thoughts, because when we get to the next question, I would like you to share some of the some challenges here and there. Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Please welcome Brenda. Please welcome Helen. Please put your emojis as they are saying things that you like. And thank you to our friends and colleagues who have joined. I can quickly just welcome everyone. I don't want to miss anyone's name. I know folks from Canada, from Ghana, from UK, and I'm sure some other places, the US, of course. So before we go to the next question, talk a little bit about the returnee. Maybe it's related to the next question, but maybe I'll ask her about this. Let me ask the next question, and then you can weave it in. Can you share your journey as an immigrant and highlight some key markers of your success, right? So I'll go with you, Helen, first, but I was interested in that returnee thing and experiences, and also a little bit about the risk, if you can connect risk management and even how it impacted your life. And as you see others that you are mentoring and coming up, others that are coming up behind us, how they are managing the risk and their lives.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so returnee. So yeah, I know that your book focuses on immigrants' experience. I know you called out the US. If you're in the UK, you would have experienced something similar, although I feel that the US is quite dynamic. And yeah, so maybe the experiences might be a little bit different. But yeah, I'm not a direct immigrant. Yeah. So, but I do believe I've had an immigrant's experience.
Yes.
Because having been born in the UK, and then went to Ghana age 10. And having had my formative years in Ghana, that was 10 to 17, I came back to the UK feeling like I was Ghanaian. And it was interesting. Okay, at the time, I didn't have a Ghana passport. I came back to the UK, got into Heathrow Airport, and they said, "Welcome home." And I thought, oh, that's a bit strange, welcome home. I thought, at that age, I was now Ghanaian. But yeah, my experience and then so I came to back to the UK, age 17, and then had a good 23 years in the UK, finishing my education and then working. And at some point, I perhaps wanted to prove my Ghanaianness. You ask yourself, are you Ghanaian? Or where are you from? And I say, I'm from Ghana. And then when they dig a bit, they realize that this girl is not Ghanaian. Yeah. She's British. She may have schooled in Ghana. And I hope the noise is not disturbing you too much out there. They'll realize that, I may have schooled in Ghana, but really, is she truly a Ghanaian? And I had a bit of an identity crisis because came back to London, met up with the girls who I knew as a child. I think they spent 5 minutes with me and then decided, actually, this is not the girl we knew of 7 years ago, and then they promptly left and I never saw them again. So I then, as a young person in the UK, I really had to question, who was I? I felt I was Ghanaian. But when I engaged with Ghanaians, I think they would tell you that actually you're not Ghanaian enough. And when you engage with Brits, you know that you're not British, So I think I had a bit of an identity crisis. But, I think it was still, with hindsight, it was a good experience of me coming to Ghana because those were my formative years. But my parents were the true immigrants. So my parents came to the UK very young, probably around 2021. So that would have put them late 50s, very early 60s. And I know that it was a time when you would have seen things like no Irish, no blacks, no dogs. This is if you wanted to rent an apartment. So me being my parents' only child or first child, only daughter, first child, I was very much aware of the kind of discrimination that they went through in the UK. My father worked hard. He started off doing, in those days, it was computer science, but you use these cards, punch cards, He would come home with the big calculator and would sit down and we'll work at it together. If there was maths, I would do maths with my dad. But, ultimately in latter years, I felt that my parents had to do what was necessary to put food on the table and create a life for their children. So that's me and my younger brothers. Referencing risk and immigrants immigrants and risk. My perception was that immigrants, especially in the UK, it was very much that, look, you need to get on in this country. We know that there is discrimination, especially in those days, and you need to just fit into the system. That means you don't question anything, you fit into the system, you conform, and you keep moving forward. And that was the message I got from my parents. And it was really, Helen, get yourself a secure job. Probably go to a bank or something, get yourself a secure job so you get a decent salary, and then you can get on with your life. And I think with that kind of upbringing, I personally feel that sometimes we are fearful about questioning things. So then you place yourself in a career setting or a corporate setting. There you are, you're working, somebody says A, B, and C, or A plus B equals C. You're likely to respect that and move forward. Do you really have the luxury of questioning what is being said? I think from a young age, to some degree, because this is not our own country. And even though I'm born there and I have the British passport, I have a strong influence on me, which it comes probably through parents and people around them, that says just fit into the system and therefore don't question things. Yet, if you really want to make serious progress in your career, you do need to question. You do need to have your voice heard. And so, yeah, that's what I would say. I think that sometimes as immigrants, we set our own limitations. Sometimes they're invisible limitations. So you create this framework and you stay within that box and you don't want to step out of it because you're being conformist, perhaps. And sometimes you get a view that, you're lucky to be there. I think there were questions. Sometimes I had people saying that actually, for a Black girl, you're doing really well. That used to irk me because I just thought, well, there's a lower expectation of me as a Black woman in the UK. So if I'm working in the city and my colleagues are white males, and the guy who recruited me, I remember him wearing a bowler cap, in those days, and a bowler hat. And, I think you are in a really white environment. Did you have permission to be yourself? And I think that through our backgrounds, subconsciously, we learned how to camouflage ourselves, fit into the system, and just keep moving rather than stepping out and shining. So I think that would be some of my experiences. But having said that, I would say parents sacrificed, so they did all sorts of jobs to make sure that they were giving their children an opportunity, and we really appreciated that. So sacrifices were made. They were careful for us, so if me or my brothers were to say to my parents, actually, I'm leaving my job and I'm going to do something else, my mother's first reaction is, well, why would you do that? You've got a great, good salary, secure. Why are you stepping out? And I do feel from experience, the greatest moves, the greatest learnings I've had has been really stepping outside of that box. Being able to step on some people's toes every now and again, looking at opportunities, not just going with the flow because it appears secure. Step out and do something else. So I don't know I hope I've answered your question, the immigrant and risk.
Yeah. There's so much to unpack. There's so much fit and conform, and if you've read my book, those who've read the book, where I talk about culture shock and people coming into the system, having lost sometimes family, social capital, there's language barrier. So sometimes as immigrants, we tend to take anything that will put food on the table. we tend to be quiet and conform because you need the money, right? We tend not to take risks because you're in an environment that you are now trying to find your feet. So it's happening a lot. So I hear you on the fit and conform, not take any risk, especially the generation before us. And there's so much to unpack, but let's go to a question. And let me say one thing, that my next session will be on psychological safety, where we will learn how to speak up, bring your authentic and whole self to work, be in that environment that will encourage that. But there's a question here that, oh, I have to move up. Sorry, let me move up, people, so that Helen, it says, great insight from Abigail, Canada. Great insight, Helen. What advice would you give a young African in the diaspora currently facing a similar identity crisis?
Personally, I think, look, you need to be proud of, well, number one, know where you're coming from. Yep. I think if you know where you're coming from, if you know your background, then it really helps you to stand up proudly and say who you are and hopefully what you stand for. And, it's true, you do need to work hard, but I think make sure that you are competent, but don't be so risk averse either. Sometimes, we don't go for things because we think, oh, I don't meet all the requirements. But you, as an immigrant, may bring something very, very different, a different perspective to the table. So I think it's really about studying yourself and understanding what you bring to the table, but who you are, and those values. I really think that they can carry them through. Also, I think you must network, engage with other people, and I think break outside of your comfort zone. So when I say comfort zone and networking, don't just network with the small diaspora that you know and you're comfortable with. Speak to others. And I think one thing I've learned is that, we are not so different, especially if in the US. Isn't the US made up of immigrants?
Yes.
So everybody has an immigrant experience. If not in their generation, there's immigrant experience going back in their history. So maybe knowing yourself, knowing the history of where you are, the American history, I think it would enable you to engage with a wider circle of people. And I think through engaging a wider circle of people, you learn more, you're more aware of new opportunities, and I think a breakthrough is more likely to happen.
Great. Wow. Know who you are, what you stand for. Don't be risk averse. Network and engage with others outside of your immediate Asian, African, Indian, whatever community. And someone said, your network is your net worth. We tend to gather around, but Helen is telling us, and the research also points to the fact that you need to branch outside and don't be risk adverse. Okay. Yes, says there's a comment. Susie says, yes, says question. Break the norm. Step out. I think you said something like step out of your comfort zone, step out. Then Eunice says, we set invisible limitations and comfort zones that can be crippling. Great points. I think there are two more points. Yeah, two more comments. From Yvonne, that's a good one. Break out of your comfort zone. Not always easy, but necessary. Okay, great. Those are some serious Hellenism that are going on. Brenda, same question. And given that you also born in the UK, went to Ghana, back in the UK, came to US, a question, can you share your journey as an immigrant and highlight some key markers of your success? This can be your professional journey, academic, career growth. You can include any business ventures, highlight any strengths, resilience, persistence. Share your journey.
Yeah, thank you, Auntie Marian. I think for me, it started off when I went back to, so I would go to London every time I'm on vacation. And right from there, I could see that like my sibling, my cousins, they all had like the authentic British accent, and I did not have that. So, and I remember you mentioned that in your book before. So that I had a little bit of a complex.
Mm.
I would not speak up. Like when we go out, I would not speak up. But then I realized that, I have education just like them. It's just different. But whatever they're doing, or I can do more, if not more. So right from there, right from London, before I moved here, I was like, I'm gonna do better because I felt like I was at a disadvantage. I'm coming from a developing country. Even though I was born in London, I didn't feel like I belonged there, you know, initially with the language barrier. But and then I moved here. So but there, what made it a little bit better was I had family there. All my family are there.
Mm.
It wasn't that hard, like finding a job and all that kind of stuff. It wasn't that difficult. But moving to the United States was totally different. My father was here, but he lived in a different state. I was just here by myself and my husband, so I didn't have anyone. And then I realized that I have a bachelor's degree from Ghana, but here it was like nothing. And a lot of people would tell you, you have to forget about your degree and just start afresh. And I had a lot of people also in my year, like you have to go into nursing or go into the sector, but that wasn't I didn't have any interest in that. So I was bent on, improving myself. I didn't want to, get rid of my degree. I thought it was worth something. So I did my research. I found out, oh, I could have it evaluated, and then I did that. And so I was looking for a job. Like you said, I started off in a warehouse because I needed to do something.
Mm.
And then I started off in a warehouse. The pay was good, but I feel like no, it's too tiring. I can't be doing this. So I moved on to a bank, and that's where I had a little bit of, people that would envy you. And for me, most all the places that I've worked with, my immediate supervisors, they love me because I work hard. But my co-equals, they would rather envy me.
Mm.
So I had and sometimes it's not even a white person, it's a sister like me,
Mhm.
but they're American. I have the accent, I'm doing a good job, and they don't like it. So I had that a lot. And so in the bank, I had the lady, she was there a little bit longer, so she didn't like me. She was in the manager's ear. They sent me to a different department, a different branch altogether in the banking area, and then they loved me there, but I had to go back to my older bank. But eventually I left that place because they couldn't work with me. So I found myself in Coppin State University. I was doing part-time mentoring and doing transfer evaluations for them for a while before I moved to where I am right now at UMGC. But the minute I got there, my supervisor told me that you're here, you have the opportunity to go to school for free. That's one of your benefits. And she was like, people don't use their benefits.
Mhm.
So I grabbed onto that. I started working in October. By January, I was doing my master's degree because I had to encourage myself and advise myself. I didn't have any family members directly here, and then I started having kids as well. So it was very difficult, being an immigrant. You don't have any family to help you. You're working, you're taking care of kids. It was really difficult, but I had a tenacity to keep going. I wanted to, achieve something for myself, if not for anything for myself, and to, so working and going to school was really hard, but I was able to do it. And then, now I don't just have the degree from Ghana, I have a master's degree from here. But, there's still office politics. It's really difficult to break through. So for me, anytime I apply for like a senior position and I don't get it, I just enroll myself in school again. So I did another master's degree. I have two master's degree right now, and then I feel like you have to keep evolving, you have to keep learning. You don't have to sit and if you are not making it, you don't have to curl yourself in and then cry about it or anything. I try not to do that. I try to improve myself for when the right time comes. So that's one of the, it was really difficult because it was just me going to work, taking care of kids. And then I think what helped me a little bit was I moved to the United States in 2014. And then 5 years later, COVID hit. So even though it was a bad thing, it helped me a little because then I get to work from home and take care of my kids at the same time. So that was what kind of saved me a little bit in times of work, but it's been difficult, like office politics, anytime you open your mouth to speak, the first thing they say is, "Oh, where are you from?"
Yeah.
Where are you from? Like, I'm from Maryland. And then Camille, if you understand what I'm saying, where I'm from come in? It doesn't change anything. If as long as you understand what I'm saying, that's what's important. So that's one of the things that I face mostly. But you keep moving, you keep learning, and you keep improving yourself, and nobody
Yeah.
can tell you otherwise.
You keep moving, you keep improving yourself, you keep challenging yourself. But there's something you say, you don't have any family here, so why are you calling me Auntie Marian? You
I
don't
mean,
need to ask. I'm just
so
messing with you.
no, so maybe that's what I was going to say that as an advice, that build
Yeah.
relationship,
I'm messing with you. I'm messing with you.
One of the things, because I didn't have any family, immediate family, my dad lived in Massachusetts, and then he retired and went back to Ghana. So one of the things I did, like when I moved here, like 6 months into I moved here, I was online looking for a church family, because I was building a little bit of relationship at work, but I needed something that would feel like a real family. So I looked online, I found my church online, I went there, and then I found Auntie Marian and a few other people.
Okay, stop calling me Auntie Marian. But yeah, you make very good points. Thank you, ladies. I know that being here, you're also being vulnerable. The accent is a big thing. It's a big thing, but we don't let our accent prevent us from moving. In my book, I share taking some classes to learn to speak a little bit more slowly and finding ways of, if I'm doing a presentation, I have a presentation, I will start with, if you hear an accent, I'm originally from Ghana. So that dispels any, where is it coming from? I hear an accent, it's cute. We neutralize all that. So Brenda, thank you for sharing that. But I want you to talk slightly, a little bit more about how you've evolved beyond your usual 9 to 5 job. Can you share a little bit about your enterprises outside of the university setting where you work?
Really about learning. I got into YouTube as well because I realized, like, my son is very intelligent. He was reading, I think, at the age of 4. So I was like, oh, we could do something. That's why we came up with the YouTube, with him reading on YouTube, reading kids' books on YouTube, and that was growing us all. And for me, other than being at work, I look at myself as learning. I want to set a good example for my kids. I don't want them to have any excuses when they grow up. So that's why I enroll myself in, I do courses, I do certificates. I have 2 master's degree, and I just enrolled myself in a PhD program as well.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah. So I feel like it's a lifelong thing. You have to
Yes.
learn it because things change often. Everything
Yes.
is happening and you can't stay at one place. So aside my work, even though I don't have a degree in higher education, I have a master's degree in human resource and I have a master of science in law. It has nothing to do with what I'm doing right now. I mean, I could apply it in some ways, but it's all about evolving and doing more than your 9 to 5.
Very good. And that is chapter 8 in my book, which says take advantage of resources. A lot of us don't take advantage of the resources that our companies offer. Very, very, very good. I'm seeing some comments here before we go to the next question. Humans are often afraid of what they don't know or understand, Dr. Texan. All about fear. Just be yourself. It's your unique you. Yvonne, well done, Brenda. Dr. Sybil says Auntie Marian. I don't know what it means, but Auntie Marian with 5 exclamation signs and you go girl. Okay, so If you are joining us, thank you so much for joining us. We are having a conversation with two incredible women, Helena Markwe, who is joining us all the way from Ghana, Accra, Ghana, and Brenda from Maryland, USA. Oh, I have so many questions, Helen, for you. And for those of you who don't know, may not know, who don't know, Helen and I went to the same high school. And as I was thinking about it, I'm like, I don't really know Helen. We're in different classes, but she's a leader of leaders. She's smart, the way she speaks. And I said, I need to build a relationship with you. But whilst at that, let's go to our next question, which is, what is one significant challenge or some significant challenges you faced, and how did you overcome them?
Okay, thank you. So yeah, the challenges are plenty, but I'll pick on maybe a couple, maybe two or three. Yeah, I'll try and be succinct. So I returned to the UK from Ghana. The cultural differences were really, it really had an influence on me. And I think having come from a high school which was pretty strict, etc., I landed in an environment where you could do whatever you wanted to. I think my parents trusted that, yeah, Helen will do what is right. I actually explored and I realized how close one could get to, going down the wrong path. So I would say that, there's a lot of people who want their kids to go abroad, and I think it's not just enough to send your children abroad. You really need to be there strongly with them, give them good guidance, etc. But that, when I say that, for me, how that impacted on me was education. I came from Wesley Girls, did my O levels, did great, came to do my A levels in London in a comprehensive school, had the freedom to do whatever I wanted, didn't do very well. Actually had to go and do some subjects again. And actually having finished, I went straight to work. And I carried this complex that, Helen, you're not educated enough. You hadn't gone to university. And yeah, I think that weighed heavily on me. And of course, my friends, when they eventually were coming, gay girls were ambitious. They have, they're going for the degrees and ultimately the masters, etc. So for me, who'd left at Form 5, dabbled, done some A levels, but started work, I felt a little inadequate from an education perspective. But the good thing was I pursued my education in non-conventional ways. So having worked in the City of London in insurance and being quite a specialist in my area, I questioned, well, so you haven't been to university. So what are you going to do at university? Are you just going to do a business degree for the sake of it, or what? But having spoken to people, I had the chance to do an MBA, without a first degree. And people think, well, is that truly possible? But yes, it is possible. And it's really because, sorry, I've lost my earring. I'd engaged, I'd done a lot of things along the way. So even though I was working my 9 to 5, I was also working with somebody on the side who was creating a magazine, for example. I was also doing my chartered insurance, which linked directly to what I did. All those things came together and I could do my MBA. So that was actually a key mark of success. And that comes from my lack of confidence in the level of education I had. Education beyond that, I don't class myself as a real academic. I'm a very practical person, but Brenda talked about, the evolving world we're in. I like to continuously educate myself. So when I came to Ghana, I worked with major corporates, MTN, Vodafone, and then ultimately Guinness, which was part of the Diageo group. And I felt like I was in my little bubble and I was doing okay because I was working for multinationals. But I thought, Helen, you've made a choice to come to Ghana. What do you really know about Ghana? You know, again, education. So I studied law in the evenings. And so I got my LLB. So MBA, LLB. Do I want to be a lawyer? No. But I did the LLB because I felt it gave me a good foundation historically and also a good understanding of civil society in Ghana, you know, so I did that. So I think education was a real challenge, but I'm always addressing it. So it does mean that when even now, I think last year I did a course with The Economist on the future of finance. I'm in insurance, but the world is changing. There's a great merge between insurance, banking, the digital world, and we're here. And it's like, well, what's going on around us? So short course with The Economist takes me 6 weeks or something, but I've done it. And then, you know, so it's continuous learning. So my education is not purely academic. It's not linear. It's not necessarily that you do this course because you're going to become the expert in that. But I think it's having enough knowledge to sit at the table and be able to hold a conversation without feeling lost, you know, so you know what's going on, you're keeping current. If you're going to spend, so last week I subscribed to The Economist because I thought, okay, I hate paying pounds and dollars for things like that because I'm sitting in Ghana earning cedis, but it's important for my education. I really, when I see those articles, I want to read it. So education, it's been a challenge, but you have to grab it by the horns, and it doesn't have to be in conventional ways, but you need to, you know, keep educating yourself. So I would say that was my first challenge. Maybe the other one I would say is having moved to Ghana, it's working in a country which appears to have no systems. There's no set ways of doing things. We have an economy which is volatile. Having said that, look, a lot of the world is quite volatile right now. So maybe we've got a bit of a head start in working in such an environment. But being independent, so since 2022, I left my full-time corporate job and I do my portfolio of work. But yeah, how do you manage in such a, how do you thrive in an environment where there's a lack of systems or official systems? And yeah, so that's been a real challenge for me. I keep working on it. I was often petrified to deal with public offices, civil servants, etc., because I go in and yeah, this returnee comes with a little bit of a British accent. So you think people are just going to take advantage of you straight away. And sometimes you might think, okay, I'm going to go through somebody, but if you're going to go through somebody, you're going to have to pay them, etc. It's been a real immersion of getting into a system and trying to work your way through it. And I think you need to go against the grain somewhat. If you're going to just say, I'm plugging myself into a Ghanaian system and the Ghanaian economy is going up and down, or mostly down, the trend has been down, but you've got an optimism for it going up, then you need to do something that goes against that trend. So you need to be entrepreneurial in your way. You need to network. You need to do things with other people. Don't do it alone, you know. So things I've done with 2 or 3 people. I don't do it on my own. But yeah, you need to go against the grain somewhat to be able to make some success. So those are my the two challenges that I'll call out.
So Helen, oh my goodness, you have to come back because I'm trying to I'm trying to also type in the thing. I have already 8, 9 from you. Step out of your comfort zone. Don't be risk averse. Anyway, I'll type them in. I'll put some in the chat. Let me read. Oh, this is so good. So good. Brenda, hold your thought. Let me just read some of the comments here. Mrs. Sawyer, my son's middle school teacher. I often think that people who worked before uni take their schooling so much more seriously and can be more focused on what you want of further education. Yeah, so have the work experience before you go to uni. Thank you. Dr. Sebel says, so true, don't just send your children abroad. Abba, yeah, that is so true. I can testify to that with my own experience. I think, Abba, you're talking about working before going to uni. Abigail from Canada, wow, that's a good example of taking an unconventional way toward ultimate success. Something to keep in mind when guiding our kids' educational trajectories. Going against okay, Pan-Hellenism is here. Hashtag going against the grain. Dr. Texan, keep sharpening your sword to stay prepared. Very, very good. Oh, okay, there's another one. Mine nugget, step out of your comfort zone. Don't be risk averse. Network, continuous improvement, embrace your unique self. Ama, another masterpiece. Well done and thank you, Marian, Helen, and Brenda. Okay, this we could go on and on. Brenda, same question to you. What are some of the significant challenges you faced and how did you overcome them? And time is going. We will have a chance for just maybe one more question.
Yeah, sure. So definitely for me, it was adapting to a new culture and a work environment. I realized real quick that America is very fast paced, and you can't just be bubbled in your show. You have to be up and moving. So the culture was very different. It's a lot of politics, but you need to work your way around it and do what you have to do to make it. And also for me, it was really not building that relationship a little bit faster. So
Network.
I was networking, yeah. So because I was doing everything by myself, taking care of my kids by myself. So definitely not building that network, both as at work and outside of work really fast. So those are two challenges that I went through. It's easy when you have people that you can rely on. You can, ask for help if you need that. So definitely those two, I would say.
Asking for help, networking. Your network is your net. Your network is your net worth. Remember that. Remember that. Let's get outside of our own bubbles and expand our networks, embrace different ideas, different people to grow. Fantastic, fantastic, fantastic. Okay. Woo, time is almost running up. Thank you, everyone, for joining, and thank you. Okay, Awo, there's another comment here from Awo. Your unconventional / continuous education is impressive. With God and determination, all things are truly possible. Yes. And then I have Dr. Texi, you may have to explain come of IQ, EQ. So I think IQ is intelligent quotient, EQ, emotional quotient. Maybe I know what AQ is. All work together in this fast-paced environment. You are right, Brenda. Thank you. RB iPhone says, I could listen all day, learning so much. Oh my goodness, and time is also up. Ladies, I hope you agree to come again soon to finish this conversation because I don't even know where to go next. Okay, so if you could speak to your younger self, let's do that one. What advice would you give? Is there anything you'd change or wish you'd done more of? Maybe I will go with you, Brenda, this time, and then Helen will close us out. But before then, let me just read. The comments are just so powerful. Many of us are always tired, and that stops us from pursuing more. Push, push, push. Then Sarah Dakwa says, that was Dr. Pencil. Then Sarah says, interesting parts, very encouraging. Keep up the good work. Angela, we do need them to come back again. Learning so much. Okay. So thank you, everyone. Please, 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 let me not forget to say this. You can find the replay on Facebook, on YouTube. YouTube is Breaking Through Immigrant Voices. Please subscribe, like, and comment. And Brenda, take the question, and then Helen would.
I would really say start early. Don't procrastinate. If you have plans of going to school, start early. Whatever you plan on doing, start early. And it's good to listen to advice, but don't let people get into your ear too much. Sometimes we veer off what we were trying to do because telling you to do this, do nursing, do computer science. Maybe that's not where your interest is. The money is good, but you don't always just run after the money. You have to do something that you really want to do. So definitely start early. Don't procrastinate, and then build that connection, build that relationship with the people.
Okay. Start early. Take the step today. Take the step.
Right now.
Right now, take the step. Don't let people get in your ear. Do what you are passionate about, what you really want to do. Okay. So thank you, Brenda. Wonderful, wonderful. I'm writing because I will send the notes, some notes. So there's a question from Ishmael. He said, what is the name of the book? Okay. The name of the book is Breaking Through the Immigrant's Handbook for Thriving in the American Workplace. And I've said it that the principles here can be applied to any sphere of any workplace, whether you're in America, Europe, Ghana, wherever you are, you can use the principles. Oh, and the other question, where can you get the book? You can get it online on Amazon. Please feel free, get it online if you don't have a copy. So, Helen, take us away. If you could speak, the question is, if you could speak to your younger self, what advice would you give? Is there anything you'd change or wish you had done more of?
I think pride in who you are a lot earlier in life would have been helpful, because I think that would have encouraged me to take those steps and not hang around too much in my, an area that I knew, in my comfort zone. So I think pride would give confidence to move on into other areas. I think seize those opportunities, So opportunities present themselves, and typically we're very critical of ourselves, and we think, I'm not qualified for this, and therefore we don't put ourselves forward. Yet maybe you're qualified to do 50% of what's on the job requirement, and you bring something extra to the table, which is not even listed. So I think it's taking those opportunities and just go for it. Number one, also be curious. So I think in my early days, I did my job and I did it well. And I realized it's not enough to do your job and do it well. You need to be curious about what is it that you're doing? Why are you doing it? Who's doing something next door? And actually, what's happening with this overall company? Once you start seeing a bigger picture, I think you're more able to influence or even determine where your next step should be, rather than getting narrower and deeper into this rabbit hole of what you are doing and doing it very well. And the reality is everything is changing around you. So I don't believe, of course, what you do it well, but you need to be curious as to what's happening around you, what's the changing environment, and apply yourself. And I think those are some of the things. And maybe the other thing I would say to my younger self is I used to put a lot of emphasis of, oh, I don't fit in, I'm different. As I've got older, I realized that there are many more similarities than there are differences. So maybe on the surface, that you may seem different or somebody may seem different. Once you actually get to know them a little bit more, you realize that actually a lot of the principles, the key things are very similar. And therefore you can learn from each other, you can exchange information, and it's almost you take yourself out of that pity party. You are not in a pity party. You need to embrace what is around you to make progress. Yeah.
Okay, so take pride in who you are, seize opportunities. I think you make a very important, be curious. It's not enough to do your work well. If if doing your work well was good enough, I'm sure people will be CEOs. It's not enough to do your work well. And I heard you say, we are more alike than different. So don't let your difference prevent you from learning from others. And as you were talking, I was hearing imposter syndrome. This thing about both of you, this thing about accent, this thing about feeling not enough. This sometimes is about, I didn't go to uni, I'm not competent enough. But you made a point that I wrote earlier on that was like, having enough knowledge to be at the table so that you are not lost. Really, really great nuggets. We will deal with imposter syndrome at another time. And there's something someone said, I heard it in the month of February, said, let your difference make a difference. Don't let your difference disqualify you. Let your difference make a difference. Be proud of who you are, your accent, do well, network, connect with others. I don't know whether there are any other questions. I know this, when we have two guests, we normally go a little bit over to 12:15. So there are 29 folks here. Any other comments if you have, the difference makes you unique. I like that Dr. Texan said, the difference makes you unique. Susie said, take pride in who you are and where you come from, seize opportunities, be curious. Wow, great nuggets. Thanks, Maren, Brenda, and Helen. Geraldine, Maren's book, Cheat Sheet for Mentors. I use it for my mentees and they love it. Well, I would give you the floor for any last comments. What advice would you give to help our audience to thrive in their careers? One big or two big tips. What advice would you give to help our audience thrive in their careers and life?
Yeah, I'll go.
Okay, go ahead, Brenda.
I would say, and before that, Pastor Sybil, I think he asked the question about how do you do a fatigue if you're not trying to go to school and you're tired. For me, I'll answer that and then I'll go to that real quick.
Okay.
For me, sometimes I just take days off from work, a day or two that I don't have plans of traveling or anything. All I do is stay home and sleep. Like my kids go to school and I just rest. So it's,
Self-care.
Self-care, you have to do that and then, you get your energy back. But an advice that I would give is believe in your potential and have a growth mindset. That would help you overcome obstacles that you face. It will help you improve resilience as well and then embrace any challenge that you're going through. So definitely have a growth mindset and then embrace a lifelong learning. Then you have to be curious about things. You have to read books. You have to take courses, short courses. There are a lot of free courses online that you can take to improve yourself as well. So it will boost both your personal and professional life. So definitely embrace a lifelong learning and cultivate a growth mindset. That's what I would say.
Yeah. Believe in your potential. Cultivate a growth mindset and that lifelong learner. Be a lifelong learner. Continuous improvement. Fantastic. Thank you, ladies. You are both amazing. I'm reading the comments here. Helen. So this is the last one. Give us your nuggets, tips, and any advice to help our audience thrive in their careers and lives.
Is that my question? Sorry.
Yes. So that's the last question. So
Okay.
thank you, everyone. Helen will answer the last question. I'll give a few announcements then.
Okay, my network is playing up a little. Let me just
Yeah, whilst Helen is getting a network together. And let me just say that on April 5th, we will have our next session, and it will be on psychological safety. If you don't know what psychological safety, come join us. You will gain some insights, you gain understanding, and a few tips to ride with. It looks like Helen might be
Frozen.
what's amusing me was that when she said volatile, living in a volatile economy. So, ladies,
I'm back.
Oh,
Actually.
you're back.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, apologies. My
Oh, no
network
problem.
went down.
Not at
So,
all.
yeah, I think for me, look, I feel that there's a lot of pressure on us as, minorities or immigrants in other countries. And we think that we have to know so much and almost do it yourself. And I don't believe that that's the situation. I think you can collaborate a lot. So I think bringing the right people to the table, when I was sitting on the board, it was important that I had people of diverse backgrounds on the table with me, because I'm not the one who's going to make all the decisions. I might be chair, but I'm not going to make all the decisions. It has to be a group collaborative event. So I think it's important to bring other people to the table, collaborate, and remove that pressure to have to know the answers to everything. And then lastly, I would say is, look, have your values, because I think those anchor you. And, with everything that's changing, your values keep you on a path. It helps you make decisions. If you want to change career, it's probably your values that are going to be the common denominator that keeps you maybe on a different path, but you're still anchored in what you believe. So that's what I'd say. Thanks.
Yes. Bring other people to the table, remove the pressure from yourself of thinking that you have to solve all the problems or you have all the answers, and have your values. Ladies, thank you so much. Brenda, thank you so much, Helen. It's been an amazing time learning new things about both of you. I've learned a lot myself. I would try very hard to send a summary of the nuggets that you shared, and our last speakers, Chichi, Geraldine, and Susanna Forsen. We celebrated women. We salute women. We salute our mothers, our aunties, our teachers. Thank you so, so much. Thank you to our audience, our participants. Thank you for actively sending in comments and sharing my panelists and me on. Thank you so much. And on that note, we will see you again April 5th, unless Helen and Brenda agree to come. If they decide to come sooner than that, we will send out the information. But it's been such a pleasure. Thank you all so much, and enjoy your afternoon, your morning, your evening. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Quick one, Marian. Nice message from Ifua Amwa, Marian's daughter. Nice session, mommy. Very informational. Thank you, Ifua.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Abigail.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all so much. Thank you, everyone.
Amelia, Brenda, good job, good job, good job.
Great lady.
Thank you.
Brenda, I'll be calling
Thank you,
for
Dr.
some
Texan.
tips. You didn't give us your fun facts. The weightlifting.
Thank you, Dr. Texan.